Hi everyone, it's Lainey. I'm back with another video. Today I'm going to talk about a subject that a lot of people have asked me about, and I thought it would be a good time to make this video. A lot of people have been asking me how I learned Korean, how I worked on my pronunciation, and how I worked on becoming more fluent and more confident with speaking in Korean. So I'm going to give you some tips. I actually wrote them down. So I even, look at this, I brought my laptop, guys. And I wrote them down so I don't forget anything. So bear with me as I will look back and forth from my screen. But they're pretty simple, and other people have other tips on how to learn Korean and whatnot. But this is how I learned it. And so, I mean, give it a try. It might work, it might not. Everybody has different ways to learn. But this is how I learned. So let's get started. Okay, so the first tip is learn the alphabet. So a lot of people don't do this, and I don't know why, because if you really, really want to learn a language, you got to start with the basics. You've got to learn the alphabet. A lot of people are like, well, I'm just going to learn a couple words and then I'm going to repeat and, I'll be fine. That's how I'm going to learn the language. That might work for some people, but honestly, the easiest and the best thing to do for yourself when you're studying a language is to start at the beginning, to start at the basic and learn the alphabet. You can use so many apps nowadays. When I was studying, like almost 10 years ago now. Holy crap. I used talktomeinkorean.com, and they had like this whole area where they were teaching you like the alphabet one by one. And then there was also Wikipedia had like their wiki dictionary or wiki alpha, whatever. But pick one of those websites, apps, or whatever, and learn the alphabet. I can't stress enough how important this is, because if you don't learn the alphabet, you're not really learning the language. So learn Hangul, learn the alphabet, just do it. So that's tip number one. Tip number two, Tip number two is, once you've learned the alphabet, read everything you can. You might be reading signs, you have no idea what you're reading. You might be like, what does this mean? This is where you pick up words and you kind of build your vocabulary. You know how to read it, so you at least know what sound each character is going to make. Look at a newspaper, look at a magazine, look at lyrics. A lot of people did. I did this. I looked at lyrics. I looked at subtitles. Some websites you can do Korean subtitles versus English subtitles. So I would put either both of them on when watching TV, or I would put only Korean subtitles and I would read. I would literally pause what I was watching and just read. And that leads me to tip number three, which is keep a journal. Like, keep a notebook or something full of all the words that you found, all the phrases, all the things that you've heard that you don't understand or that you find hard to pronounce or remember. Because when you keep a notebook, you can always go back and flip through it. I think I had like 2 notebooks all just full of Korean words. Find a dictionary that you like. Go actively looking for words. Start making this type of notebook or journal so that you can look back and realize what you have learned, what you still have trouble with, what are things that you find hard to pronounce. You can keep that all in a notebook. And I think it's really good. And it also helps when you've come to a certain point and you look back and be like, there was a time when I didn't even know what this meant, right? So you feel good about yourself when you look at that. Tip number 4, I think we're on 4. Yes, tip number 4. This is something that I did to help my pronunciation. So when you're working on your pronunciation, the easiest way is to copy other people. So there's so many things that you can watch that can help you. I personally watched variety shows. I used to watch Running Man. I used to watch Muandojeon, like Infinity Challenge. I used to watch all these shows and dramas, of course, but I would watch these shows and I would pause and I would repeat what they would say. This only works, by the way, with things that you've already watched. So I would watch like an episode of Running Man 2-3 times. Like the third time, I would literally just watch, pause it, and repeat what somebody had just said. I would watch dramas 4 or 5 times, which I know a lot of people don't have the time to do that, but if you're a student and you have like summer break and you just want to like relax and you're already going to watch these dramas anyways, or you're going to rewatch a drama that you've already watched, why not learn in the process? I watched 꽃보다 남자, Boys Over Flowers. I don't even know how many times. I've definitely at least 5 times. And during that time, when I was like in the midst of my Korean study, I watched 꽃보다 남자 and I literally I paused because I already know the story. I paused and I repeated what somebody would say. Like I repeated what a character had just said. And this leads to tip number 5, record yourself. Definitely record yourself speaking. Like if you're watching, let's say a drama, and you pause it and you repeat what they say, in that time you might think, when you hear your own voice, you're probably like, I sound similar. This is how they sound. But you won't know unless you record yourself and play it back. Because in that moment, you're probably like, yeah, I sound so native. I sound like a Korean. And then you play it back and go, oh crap, I sound horrible. You don't sound the way you think you sound unless you need to keep hearing yourself over and over. So the best way to do it is to record yourself throughout your studying. I would record myself repeating a line from a drama. So I would play a drama, pause it, repeat what they said, but when I repeated, I would record. And obviously, if you're not comfortable with that, you can do that later after you've, sat in your bedroom, watch those dramas and repeat it to your screen a couple times. When you're ready for that, you can record your own voice and just go, oh, this is what I actually sound like. And then you can work on your pronunciation that way. It's the small steps that help you get better. And then finally, this is something that really helped me, and I think a lot of people can attest to this. And I'm going back to the apps, but there are tons of apps, tons of apps. And I can't remember the ones that I used when I was learning, but because it was a really long time ago, but there are tons of apps where you can literally communicate with Koreans who are living in Korea or other parts of the world who want to learn English. So you teach them English and they teach you Korean. I met some awesome people through apps, and when I lived in Korea, I met up with some of them in real life, and they learned English from me. I learned Korean from them. And I think the best thing about this is that you have somebody there to correct you the way that a normal Korean person would talk. Because a lot of the times, it's great to copy dramas and repeat what they say on TV shows, but a lot of the stuff that you hear people in day-to-day life, they don't talk that way. So when you're talking to a live person, you're literally getting live feedback. And I think that's really, really helpful. I think it's really helpful that you utilize all the sources that you can. I don't even know how many apps I downloaded on my phone at that time. I don't even remember how many websites I went to, how many TV shows I watched. But if you really, really want to learn a language, you got to start with the basics and then work your way up. Take those small steps to learn. Again, I wanted to do this video because I've gotten a lot of questions of how I learned Korean. So definitely, I'm not saying this is the best way, but I'm saying this is how I did it. So if you guys are studying Korean, I hope this helps you. These are some of my tips, and happy learning. Bye!